A very good evening and welcome to Thursday night's edition of Primetime News here on MTV Sports. I'm Ramesh Rugalbanda.
And I'm Krishna Panditharatna. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Residents of 3 villages in Mana evacuated due to a risk of floods. Investigations commence to look for a possible fracture on the dam of the Parakrama Samudra. Professor Chandra Vikramasinghe gives details of the red rains experienced in Sevanagala. Secretary of Defense says that if the country is to move towards development, stability should be protected. And in sports news, Australia take a first innings lead against Sri Lanka in the second test.
Residents of 3 villages located in the Western Manthe Divisional Secretariat area in Mana were evacuated due to the risk of flooding. The Disaster Management Centre noted that the evacuation took place as a number of tanks had reached spill level. 400 families residing in the Parindakol, Adnam Palampatu and Palampadi Puliyam areas were evacuated today.
3,618 individuals from 1,076 families residing in the district of Mana have been displaced. According to the Disaster Management Centre, the displaced are housed at 14 relief camps. The Disaster Management Centre has advised those living in the low-lying areas of the Yodavava in Mana to remain vigilant as all spill gates of the Yodavava have been opened. Mana District Assistant Director of the Disaster Management Centre, MCM Riyal, stated that the water level of the Parappukanandan tank, which is located below the Yodavava, has also seen a rise in its water level. He said that steps have been taken to direct area residents to safer locations as a result of this. According to the Disaster Management Centre, 335,209 individuals belonging to 90,354 families have been affected by the inclement weather. The adverse weather conditions has also resulted in 36 deaths and 7 disappearances. The Met Department warns that strong showers can be experienced over the next 6 hours in the northern province as well as in the seas of the northern and northwestern coastal areas. The Natural Disaster Warning Unit of the Met Department also warns that the heavy rains will be accompanied by strong winds. They also advise the public to take the necessary steps to minimize lightning-related accidents. The Department of Irrigation points out that there are no cracks on the dam of the Parakrama Samudra in Polonnaruwa. The department released this statement after a specialist team inspected the dam today. The Parakrama Samudra, which has a capacity of 150,000 acre-feet, is currently at spill level. Over the past few days, various views were expressed stating that the dam had fractured. This has raised concern among the area residents.
I have been living here for the past 57 years, ever since I was born. We have never seen such a cave-in on the dam of the Parakrama Samudra.
This has never happened before. We don't know the reason behind this. We are all living in fear. A special team of the Irrigations Department inspected the area today. Soil samples from the area, which was said to be fractured, were also collected. Water that gathers on the road flows through one area, causing soil erosion. There is no risk to the dam of the Parakrama Samudra. The Parakrama Samudra is at spill level and the erosion has taken place around 1.5 feet below the water level. However, water is not escaping through this. Once the rainy season ends and we are able to take samples of dry soil, we will take steps to gradually fill up the area with new soil. Meanwhile, Polonnaruwa District Secretary Nimal Abesari says that although it has been confirmed that there is no threat, plans are being drawn up for precautionary measures. I say with responsibility that the people have nothing to fear. If the Parakrama Samudra is damaged, we could expect something similar to a tsunami. A 17-foot high wall of water could even reach the Somavathia, which is 25 miles away. We have carried out camps and courses about these measures and about basic first aid. All preparations have been made. We have alerted the police, we have prepared vehicles and we have identified high buildings in the area where the water could go through. Therefore, there is no cause for fear.
Red rains and yellow rains were experienced from several areas in the island today as well. Most rains were experienced from the Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa districts.
Yellow rains were witnessed in Min area in Polonnaruwa this morning. Yellow rains were also witnessed at 9 this morning in Sarvastipura in Anuradhapura. Our area correspondent said that yellow rains fell in Tirippane, Mardankadavala, Horopatana, Kakirava and Labunoruwa areas as well. Meanwhile, yellow-coloured rains were also reported from Habarana, Pulugasweba and Kashapagama areas. Our area correspondent said that yellow rains were also reported from Sigiriya, Sigirimulla and Huevala areas this morning. Yellow rains were also reported from Agbopura and Salyapura areas in Kantale. Meanwhile, red-coloured rain was reported from Kudagama area in Hatton. Our correspondent said that the rain lasted for about 15 minutes. A number of incidents of coloured rain were reported from several areas of the island in the recent past. The Medical Research Institute, which tested the red-coloured rain samples taken from Sevanagala, said that a live microorganism was found in these samples. These samples were taken to Britain for further tests, and several facts in this regard have come to light.
The sample that I brought back is under microscope, optical microscope. You can see the flagellae, little sort of tails, like sperm cells. They are moving, so they are alive, and they are certainly they're red in color, and they are very similar to the red rain cells that we have been looking at for a long time from Kerala. Is the high amounts of silver and arsenic that is present in these cells. And that's surprising, and it's not, these are rare materials, rare elements, chemical elements on Earth, but if they are present in these cells, it means that there is some location where the amounts are higher than on the Earth, right? Look for the interior of the cells, look for DNA. If we can do that, that would be great. But phosphorus and arsenic are chemically rather similar, and it's been talked about in some other context that we could perhaps think of replacing phosphorus with arsenic and have a similar life to what we have on Earth, but rather different in terms of chemistry. But if it is so, then it will be a major discovery of a new life form that depends not on phosphorus but on arsenic. Like on arsenic, and not only arsenic, silver, which is even more surprising, because for most life forms on Earth, silver is extremely poisonous. They're toxic.
Well, today marks Unduap Full Moon Poya Day.
The chronicles say that it was on a day like today that Sanghamitta Tewani brought a white branch of the Jashvi Mahabodhi tree that provided shelter to Lord Buddha to Sri Lanka. On that day, Sanghamitta Tewani was accompanied by a group of 18 persons, and the chronicles say that Bhikkhuni Sasana, or the order of Buddhist nuns, was established. Various religious events took place this evening in view of Unduap Full Moon Poya Day, which is incidentally the final Poya Day in the 2012 calendar.
When you look at the pre-Buddha era and the Buddha era, we can consider this Poya as the Poya Day where Sanghamitta Therani promoted the words of Lord Buddha among those in Sri Lanka.
With the commencement of the Adams Peak pilgrimage season, the Sada Dhatu casket of the statue of Lord Saman as well as jewels were taken to Adams Peak today.
The procession commenced from the Galputtavala Rajamahal in Palmadulla. The procession carrying the statue of Lord Saman commenced following religious observances conducted under the auspices of Venerable Bengamwe Dhammedin Tero, the chief prelate of the Adams Peak. The procession, which witnessed the participation of many individuals, made its way through the Hatton and Ratnapura areas before arriving at Adams Peak. Thereafter, religious observances were held and the artifacts that were brought in the procession were officially placed at Lord Saman's enclosure. According to the police, a special police plan has been put in place in order to ensure the safety of pilgrims travelling to Adams Peak.
12 persons were arrested in Yatiyantota for defrauding money from devotees by travelling ahead of the Perahara, carrying the statue of God Saman to the Adams Peak.
The group was arrested last night by the Yatiyantota police based on a tip-off. The suspects were produced before the Ruanwell magistrate and were further remanded till tomorrow. The police said that among the suspects were 3 12-year-olds who were released on bail today. The police has seized 1.2 million rupees of defrauded money, a lorry, a PA system, 5 statues of the Saman god and an Atta Pirikara.
On our developing story tonight, Secretary of Defence Kotabe Rajapaksa says that if the country is to move towards development, stability should be protected. He expressed this view at an event in Kurunegala.
Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa was the chief guest at the agricultural exhibition at the DS Senanayake Central College in Uhumia. The president faces numerous challenges when it comes to ruling the country. They try to use school students. On countless occasions, they try to use university students. They try to use university lecturers for this purpose as well as trade unions. They said that if the Arab uprising could take place, it can also take place in Sri Lanka. But there is a democratic rule in Sri Lanka. Because of that belief is found within the people, such things could not be done. They try to do this through the courts. We know that if a country is to develop and if investors are to come to the country, if tourists are to arrive in the country, peace and stability should be at a high level. There are many challenges afoot that are trying to take away the peace and stability that was obtained after 30 years of suffering.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa reiterates that he will fight to provide houses to those lost their homes due to the inclement weather. The MP expressed his view at an event to distribute relief items to those who were affected by the floods in Radhigama Ambalantota.
Dry rations were distributed to 1,500 families displaced in Radhigama under the relief program initiated by MP Sajith Premadasa.
Colombo district.
There are people who have not received houses after the tsunami in the Colombo and Ampara districts even after the lapse of 8 years. If the Alliance government failed to give houses to the tsunami affected until 2012, those affected by floods will have to wait until 2020 for relief aid. I would like to mention that we as the United National Party will fight in Parliament to ensure that you are given the state sponsorship to rebuild your houses.
Well, speaking at a media briefing yesterday, leader of the Muslim Tamil National Alliance, Azad Saleh, charged that 500 houses that were presented by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to the tsunami-affected people in Sri Lanka have not yet been handed over to the people.
Houses for those who were affected by the tsunami have not been given. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia donated 500 houses to the Muslims, but the government has not handed over these houses. Twice the amount will have to be spent if these houses are to be built now. Everything has been destroyed. These people have been suffering for the past 7 years. We urge all Muslim cabinet ministers and parliamentarians to resign from the government. Those from the Muslim Congress left for contracts. We are requesting the leader of the Congress to stop handing contracts and to say that we will step down from the government if these 500 houses are not provided.
Minister Mahinda Samaravira speaking in Suriyava says that 95% of relief work carried out for those affected by the floods is successful.
The minister distributed aid to those affected in the Suryavava, Mandigamtota and Megahapura areas.
සමග කර සාකච්ඡාවකින් අනතුරුව අපි තීන්දුව කරා පළවෙනි
After discussions with the president, we decided to provide relief to every single person. We commenced a program to provide meals from the government so that no one will be left in hunger. This program was 95% a success. The government officials from those areas purchased goods from shops and provided meals so that no one will be left in hunger. The government cannot do everything. Some speak as if the government created the floods. Those people have forgotten that they too were in governments. How much of relief was given to the people back then?